Hi, Nature Explorers. Today we're going to talk about songbirds. And in our book, Slow Down, on pages 12 and 13, we have some information about different kinds of songbirds. Um, the ones that start really, really early, just as dawn is approaching, and then others that start a little later. And I found that it was interesting when they talked about the size of different birds' eyes is part of the reason why some will start earlier than others. Like robins here have bigger eyes, and so they can start their day when there's just a little bit of light. And then other birds, like wrens, have smaller eyes, so they wait until it's a little bit lighter to come out. So, anyway, these are good pages to read and get a general idea about songbirds. And then we'll go ahead and draw a couple of songbirds that are mentioned in the book, and the American robin and the song sparrow. And we'll look at, one of the things we'll look at is the size of their eyes. The American robin has the bigger eyes, and the song sparrow is a little bit smaller. So he will start earlier when it's still not very light, and he or she will come along making their songs a little later in the morning as they need a little more light to see better. So we'll go ahead and start our page. And I thought a fun thing that we could do is use musical notes to decorate our title, Songbirds. So you can just write it out with whatever kind of letters you want. And you can turn some of the letters into notes if you want, and like this. And just for kind of a fun way to emphasize that these are about birds that make their own music. So I'm just kind of making some of these like into a whole note, and just kind of playing around with that whole idea. You can add some different symbols, music symbols, if you want. And just kind of, you can look up some, or if you have some music books in your house, look at them and get ideas for different music notes and symbols you could put along with your title. Okay, a fun thing to do, and I think I've mentioned it before, is any kind of stroke where you're writing and going down can be thicker, just for visual interest. Like that. Thicken up these. They go down. These little parts down. Okay, so you just have fun with your title if you like. It just makes it a more interesting page. Okay, clean that up a little bit. Okay. So the two songbirds we're going to emphasize today are the robin and the song sparrow. So the robin, like I said, has large eyes. We'll talk about the American robin. It's a very, very common bird in America, one of the most common that we have. They have the large eyes that allow them to see in the early morning light. When there's not a lot of light out there. And when it's still, so they're one of the first ones that come out in the morning, and their song is like cheerily, cheer up, cheery. Now, if you can see these in your own yard or when you're out on a hike, then that, of course, is great to try to draw them. You might have to sketch them really fast because they're probably hopping all over the lawn or ground looking for their favorite food, which is worms. They also like other insects and seeds and things, but worms are their favorite. Okay, so let's go ahead and start drawing the robin. We can draw the body is kind of basically like an oval, but it might be a little flatter on the top part. And then the chest is more rounded. And then it can come to where the tail will go out. And then we can add the head. Now, we're not going to add the head just right at the end of where the body is, but we'll have it overlap into the body. And it'll be rounded, maybe a little bit flatter up on top, and then go down into the body. And then we can erase extra lines that we don't need anymore. And I think I've made my head a little bit large, so I'm going to adjust that, which is what we can do and why we can draw with a pencil. But if you want to try drawing with pen and ink, then that's good too, and maybe you would get more bold with the first lines that you put down. Okay, so here's the basic head. Then the beak doesn't just come off of the head at the very edge, but it goes into the head, and then it'll come out and make a point here. It's kind of like a rounded triangle. Okay, then the rather large eye will be off of the beak, and the picture that I have has some white around the eye, so we'll kind of make a kind of circular ring that will leave white. And then inside the eye we can leave a little bit of white. It's a highlight. It shows where light reflects on the bird's eye. And it gives, when you have a highlight in any kind of living thing that has an eye, it shows more life in the animal. Okay, so I think maybe I made the beak a little bit big, but it's a nice sharp beak to get its prey with. Okay, so there's the basic head and body of the robin, and then the tail will go back. And I posted a picture of a robin on Canvas page that you can look at. Ideally, the best thing is to look at them in real life. And sometimes you can go to a place like a nature center that might have some birds that have been taxidermied. Like maybe they died somehow and somebody found them and took them to a nature center, and they were able to have them stuffed so that you can see what they're like close up. Okay, I'm going to make this chest a little bit bigger. And then I'm drawing in the wing, which is kind of another oval within this bigger oval of the bird. The wing feathers can extend beyond the body. These feathers that would, if it's flying, would be first are called the primary feathers. And they kind of are like really skinny V's that overlap. And then some more feathers up here. Some smaller feathers called coverts are up here. And I'm just not drawing in all of them, but just some so you get an idea of the texture of the bird's wings. Okay, the head is dark, and then of course it's got its red breast. Often it's called robin redbreast. That's how we can identify easily a robin. And then the legs will be pretty far back on the body, a little bit of a V shape here, going forward, a toe going back, and then 3 toes in the front. A little thicker. These toes can cling on branches or to the ground as it's finding its food. Then another foot coming out like that. 1, 2, 3 toes. Thicken them up a little bit, thicken up the leg. And there's our basic robin. You can add more and more detail as you look at the photo, as you look at a real specimen, maybe through binoculars, a live specimen. But a lot of times people think of robin's arrival as a sign of spring, although sometimes robins will stay in places like Colorado all winter long. So I'll go ahead and color him in, and today I'm using colored pencils. You can use watercolor if you'd like. I'll just show you this drawing using colored pencils. Okay, so I'll draw in his head with a dark pencil. And I'm trying to draw the head with this short little delicate feathers going in the direction that these feathers would be growing. So to help show the texture of the robin's feathers. Okay, I'll use a dark, this pencil, so graphite pencils can have different kinds of hardnesses. This one is pretty light. A 2H means it's kind of light. This one is a little darker, so I'm going to just use this pencil. You could use a different color dark pencil, but for this case, just graphite pencils works for showing the head color. And then sometimes, even though it's dark, these shiny feathers will reflect like some of the blue that's coming out in the sky. And I will add some blue in there just to show kind of some, that there might be a little bit iridescent. That means they change depending on the way, the colors change depending on the way the sunlight is reflecting on them. So that's something for you to watch. You can really see that like in mallards and the male ducks. Okay, then the body is a gray with maybe some brown in it. So again, I'm going to color it in with the direction that the feathers grow. Now, robins can lay up to maybe even 3 sets of broods of eggs in a season. And their nests sometimes have 5 eggs, but usually just up to 4. And they are a beautiful bluish green, like a light turquoise. You might have heard the term robin's egg blue. It's a really beautiful color. So when songbirds are singing, one of the reasons they're singing is to attract a mate. And if a male is singing and females are listening, they'll want to listen for the strongest sounds, and that because that's a signal to them that the birds are healthy and would make good fathers for their baby birds. So I'm just kind of highlighting some of the lines of the wing feathers here. And one of the fun things about colored pencils is that you can layer one color on top of another. Again, I'm just adding some darker areas and kind of layering some of the brown along with the gray that I've put in. These are the covert feathers. You can even use some of the dark blue in here, layering that, kind of show it, help to show a different shade, different value along these feathers. So you can take a lot of time with this and really get a lot of detail into your drawing by looking at the photo that I sent along, other photos that you might find with the help of your parents, or if you go to a nature center, maybe there are some robins that have been taxidermied, or the best thing is to watch them live right in front of you. Again, they'll be hopping around on lawns or the ground looking for earthworms. They also like insects. So they're a predator of tiny creatures. Maybe they would eat snails like what we've talked about last time. Okay, I'm just going to color in the legs and feet. They too might be a combination of a little bit of brown and gray in there. Now the really fun part is using an orange. I have a nice bright kind of red orange that I'm using for the breast. And it might be a little bright. Again, I'm trying to color in the direction that the feathers are growing. I might tone it down a little bit with a little bit of brown. And kind of have a shadow, darker area where the wings cast kind of a shadow over part of that, the front part of the body under here. I can add a little red, more darker red. And you can, it's just really fun to layer the colors. The bill is kind of a golden, a yellow, maybe layered with some orange, like that. So that's a basic robin, and you know, you could keep going with it. But I'll go on now to our song sparrow, who will get up a little bit later in the day just because they have smaller eyes than a robin, and so they can't see as well until there's a little more light. So the song sparrow, again, has a basic oval body. He's a little more squat and round than a sparrow. So here's the basic body shape. And then the tail goes out from the body. And, you know, it could be in different positions depending on how he's standing or sitting. Then the head is like an egg shape, but I won't have it be on the end of the body part. It'll overlap just like what the sparrow did. I mean, the robin did. It wasn't like that. It was overlapping. Okay, and then I'll connect that. And then erase where they overlap. Put his beak up near the top of his head. It's a stout little beak. His eye goes off of the beak, and it's smaller than the sparrow's. There's a little bit of a kind of a ring around the eye. Again, I'm going to leave a tiny little highlight, little white area in the eyeball. And then he has these neat stripes all throughout his body. I'm going to connect that there more. And the beak comes into the head. It just doesn't come off of straight off of the head, but it comes into the head more. Can erase the parts that overlap. So this is a song sparrow. I'll write that here. So with songbirds, what they're doing, they're defending their territory as well as finding mates. So the American robin, the song sparrow. And depending on, again, the size of their eyes is when you'll first hear them in the morning. Okay, so there's kind of where the head and the neck, the body connect down here, and then there's stripes going off of the eye. And you have a good picture that I posted of the song sparrow too, that you can look at. Now they have something that helps distinguish them from other birds. They'll have these stripes, and then they'll have what's called a mustache right here, a white area that is pretty distinct, a way you can tell that it's a sparrow. So there's brown and gray in these lovely little birds. And it'll vary. There's different subspecies, so the stripes and the patterns will vary a little bit. But you can look at these stripes and have them come down, and the wings will come down like this. Again, these are the front wing primary feathers of what, when they're out flying, these will be what's forward the most. And then the legs are pretty far back, not high up on the body, but pretty far back. And then their 3 toes in front and one on the back to help grab branches or whatever they like. They like weeds and grass and seeds and insects. So can have the body go up a little bit more. And they will add lovely songs to your morning. So it's great to listen for them. If you see them as well, you can see if you can find them and try to draw them, probably really quickly because they move a lot too. They need to find their food. So here's the back feathers, wing feathers, and a lot of times the feathers will make kind of between a U and a V shape, and you can leave some white in between the feathers to show, like right here, you just leave some white area, the white of the paper, to show the pattern of how the feathers overlap each other. So it's really fun to look at the different designs of these feathers. Again, I'm leaving some white here while I go. and color those in a little bit. And then I'll just use my my colored pencils and do some overlapping of the grays and the browns that are on these beautiful little birds. And I'm just kind of showing the flight feathers overlapping. Now, I didn't leave enough room for all the tail, so if you don't, that's okay, but you could plan ahead and leave a little bit more room to finish off the tail there. So again, just like with the robin, I'm trying to draw in the design of the stripes in the direction that they actually grow on the bird to help with the texture. And again, one way to identify a sparrow is this, what they call a mustache coming down from the beak. It's white and pretty distinct. And then this part's coming off of the eye. And then the pattern up above. And I'm just going to put some more browns and grays to show the beautiful pattern in the song sparrow. The beak is grayish. And then I can just add some more gray along here. And thicken up the feet and the leg of the bird. Add a little bit of color in here in the tail. So the tail would go out a little further. So again, his eyes are smaller, so he'll be active a little bit later when it's a little bit more light and he can see. And he can also look out for his predators. One of the main predators of the American robin is a household cat. So you might want to watch your cat and see if you have one. See if he's watching the robins. Okay. So there's two of our songbirds. There's many others, like the magpie and blackbirds, wrens, and warblers are some of the ones that are mentioned in our book. Anyway, I hope you have fun drawing these beautiful birds, and I hope you can listen for them as we get warmer days and more activity out there with birds. One thing to think about is the beautiful robin egg, the color of those beautiful eggs that the robins lay. You might want to layer, if you want to include some robin's eggs, just kind of layer them with some green and blue. They're a little bit speckled, so that's just one little egg. You can leave a little bit of white to show that it has a little bit of shininess to it. All right, everybody. Well, have a great time learning more about birds, songbirds, and listening for them, and just enjoying the amazing variety and gifts that we have out there in nature. All right. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.